wasn't any hate, there wasn't any trolling involved, but I think it was a legitimate question from one of you guys that was to Kristen. As a parent who's an ally, how do you assume your child's going to be straight?
And like you said, it was such a lovely written email, and I'm all about having these open discussions. I didn't feel attacked in any way because I don't think that was the intent, but I think it's an interesting conversation to have. And the email goes, "Hi, KK." And he already started out calling me KK, so we're on really good terms here. "Homosexual here. If Bert gets to have curious Caucasian questions, then I want to start the gay version. Consider this my questioning queer debut," with the rainbow flag emoji. "I want to preface by saying that I know you're an ally and a great parent." Thank you very much for that, by the way. "There's not the least bit of malice to my questions. I am genuinely curious and am asking from a place of love and respect. I recently noticed that you referred to Jimmy with the assumption that he will grow up to be straight. I think you may have referenced his future girlfriend/wife. And I do remember this conversation, and I don't remember the topic we were talking about, but I shared an Instagram reel that had gone viral of a mother crying, realizing that when her son gets married, she'll no longer be able to spend holidays with him. And then she pans to the kid and it's a toddler on the floor, right? Mm-hmm. Because that is like a generalization that if you are the parent, if you are the mother of a son, when he gets married, he spends holidays with her family, right, not you. Well, that is a very hard pill to swallow. He goes, "So I'm curious, how do you, as a parent who is an ally, make sense out of your child's not yet developed sexuality? Is there a reason why you default to assuming he's going to have a wife? I'm almost positive I know the answer to this. Do you use heteronormative language because you hope that he is straight? Does it feel too weird or too much of a burden to use non-assumption language? And what do you think of using non-gendered language? I feel like I'm exposed to queer advocates, writers, and thinkers, but I don't have the perspective of many parents. So I'd love to hear from your point of view. Thank you." Insert any famous gay name here.
Liberace?
So it's a lot of questions there. And I shared that reel that I saw because I think it was just funny to share. When Jimmy was younger, and we're not going back too far because he just turns 2 tomorrow, I was actually very sensitive to when people would make those comments about like he's going to be a heartbreaker, as far as like he's going to break girls' hearts. Because I got a cute kid. And I was like, well, how do you know he's going to break girls' hearts and not boys' hearts? And I would actually, like, not in a mean way, but would be able to restate the sentence in a fact that, yeah, if he breaks girls' hearts or boys' hearts, you know. And I always wanted to be inclusive because I do try not to assume what my son's preference is going to be when he's older. Do I hope my son is straight? Absolutely not. I don't hope he's straight. I don't hope he's gay. I hope he's happy. Like, that's all I hope for my son. As far as like, do you use heteronormative language because you hope that he is straight? We tackled the hope part of that question, but you do catch yourself just trying to make things as simple as possible when you're trying to communicate with a toddler because they're just now grasping everything. So yes, I refer to him as a he. I call him my son. I call him a boy. And that's just basically because right now he was born with the XY chromosome. He has a penis. And that's like, until he expresses otherwise, that is my personal default. And also personally being around him all the time, and now I'm catching myself, and probably why I shared that Instagram reel. My son flirts with women and he flirts with little girls. I don't know how toddlers know how to do this. It blows my mind. I want to know, like, who taught you to do this? But he does. So in my head, it's planted that seed that he has an affinity for women more so than men right now. And so that's just basically where we are right now.
So this entire conversation makes me uncomfortable.
Why does it make you uncomfortable?
Only because I feel like I am an ally, but I also feel like when we have conversations like this, I'm one word or sentence away from being canceled.
I feel the same way.
Seriously.
Yeah, seriously.
So you're like scared to participate in the conversation for fear that you're going to be like taken out of context, or you're going to say something that is deemed homophobic?
All of it.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Because I really am an ally, man. I've told you guys before.
So you just let me do all the talking so I could get canceled.
Yes.
Gee, thanks.
I will help you out a little bit here. Because I was watching CNN a couple of weeks ago, and Bill Maher, who is a stand-up comedian whose brand is really kind of liberal, was on with Jake Tapper. And Bill Maher was saying that even though he considers himself a liberal, there's a difference here between liberal and the woke generation that he is really struggling with. And they got into a conversation about Dave Chappelle and his comments on transgender. So that's where this conversation starts. But I thought the definition felt I connected to his definition.
And it's great we live in a time where people like that can freely live the lives they should live with all the dignity and protection of the law that we can afford them, like anybody else in society. I think that's the liberal point of view. The woke point of view is something very different, like, babies are born now and just jump ball, we don't know what they are. Congratulations, you have a boy. Well, let's not be hasty. There's a penis that could be an indication of a male, but it's really, we'll find out later, and we can always get rid of it. And it's not wrong to have this discussion. This is something that's very new. Yeah. It's not to shut down debate with these words like phobia. You're phobic and you hate. We don't hate. There's no hate. It's not phobic. We're not afraid. We're just discussing something very new that involves children, and what these interventions you're making have repercussions for the entire rest of their lives, and they're about their health, which I think should come first.
I think where my nervousness comes from.
In your hesitancy?
And my hesitancy is coming from is that just because I may refer to my son as a he and assume that he is going to get married to a woman shouldn't be offensive to anybody else. On the overarching, I've said this a million different times on the show, if there are 1,000 concerns I have about my son or my daughter, the last concern I would have on that list is them being gay. All right? I'm the same way you are. I just want them to be happy. I do not care one way or the other what that looks like. But the fact that now we're sort of living in a society where it's trying to, I almost feel like the default now is to make sure that everybody is covered politically in a politically correct way. And if you're not, then that's offensive.
Well, it's about inclusivity. And I think there is a balance there of being inclusive and including people, because if you do go to that default, whether you want to believe it or not, you're excluding a lot of people.
I think a lot of it, though, is that heteronormative language. Like, you center yourself, and that is my default. I'm straight, my husband's straight. Mm-hmm. And so I understand that for me, like, that is my default. But I think going back to what Kristen said with inclusivity is you center straight people in the conversation as the default, and that's not the case for everyone. So conversations like this, I don't think anyone's offended. I just think it's hey, well, maybe you're centering your straightness just like white people sometimes center their whiteness. Think outside the box, think of other people. Like, what if your kid grows up differently and you're not using inclusive language? How are they going to feel later on down the line? And I think that, to me, that's my takeaway from this. I'm still going to call my daughter a girl. I'm going to call my son a boy, just like Kristen, until they express otherwise. But I will say around my daughter, talking to Chad, the same thing you did with Jimmy, like women or men, whoever she ends up with. And we make sure she hears that, so down the line she knows it. But is it every time? No, it's not. Yeah. But it's a lot of the time.
Hey, Terry, good morning. You're part of the Bert Show. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, thank you.
I was just wanting to give the comment of, I've got two boys. My oldest boy's 14, and I just found out that he was not into girls. I always just assumed he would be into girls, and so it was awkward for me to have that conversation with him. But basically what I just told him was, But if you're happy, be happy. That's all that matters. Just be happy in life. You only get one life with it.
100%.
And I'm not even trying to have any assumptions, in all sincerity. I'm just going with my kids' cues. And at the end of the day, I think any parent just wants, or any parent, at the end of the day, every parent should want their child to be happy.
Sarah, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We got about 30 seconds. What you got?
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, I have a gay son. He's 18. Came out when he was about 15. And I was raised very conservative. Man and woman should be together and have kids. And I think when they're 2 years old, I don't think anybody really should worry about if they're going to be gay or straight. You know what I'm saying? He's only 2.
I don't think the issue is him being gay or straight. I think the issue is
being inclusive in the language.
Inclusive in the language, right.
The Bert Show.
Like what you just watched, you can get more of The Bert Show on your favorite podcast platform. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find us. I don't know what any of these buttons do, by the way.